All right. We're live. Yom citizens of the future, we are back. Let me check. I'm convinced something has to be broken somewhere, because every single broadcast there's always something. So I just want to do a quick check. Can we get a thumbs up in the Telegram chat and a thumbs up in the YouTube chat if everything sounds right? And if you guys can see me, wave back. I think everything's working. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everything's working. Cool. Well, we're back. It's been a super eventful week. Unfortunately, we had to disappoint you guys last week because we had this amazing stream scheduled for you guys with an amazing guest. And then suddenly my computer broke down. The stream computer broke down. We ordered a new computer because we're building a studio in the office to do live streams from there, but it wasn't ready yet. My car broke down on the highway. I had to run to a gas station. Then the day after, my car broke down again because I ran a flat tire. It just seemed like everything in the world or in the metaverse was conspiring to stop us from getting to this point. But nothing can stop your open metaverse team. So here we are today, and boy, do I have a stream for you guys. I'm just gonna quickly run through the agenda. So first off, we're going to have a look at some of recent news from the crypto spheres, seeing some stuff that's going on regarding an island in the Pacific called Satoshi Island. And apparently you can live there and not have any money. So we're going to talk about that. Another thing that we want to discuss is the recent influx of institutional money into crypto, and specifically Solana, which of course is very valuable information for us because we're building our Open Metaverse on top of the Solana blockchain. So that's not unimportant. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about the EU Parliament passing privacy-busting crypto rules, according to Cointelegraph, despite criticism from the community. So there's a lot to discuss in there. And then the highlight of today, and that's where I'm going to go right now, is our guest. So you guys have probably already seen on our channels that we managed to bring in another amazing investor. We're really trying to build a platform that will be solid for the future. And to do that, we need to have solid partners. And one of the things that we're looking forward to do is to go for Series A. To do that, we need authoritative investors that have a reputation around the world, that know their business. And in that sentiment, we already brought you in one of the previous shows, CVVC, who have become an investor. And now we're bringing you another amazing one, which is CoinIX. And representing CoinIX today, I have here with me the one and only, let me see if I can find the right button, 3, 2, 1. Moritz Schildt, chairman of CoinIX. Moritz, how are you doing today?
Great, thank you. Good to be here, and good seeing both of you.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Now, Moritz, we have you, but of course, the show wouldn't be complete unless I bring somebody that can actually rival you in terms of executiveness. And for that purpose, we brought along today Alex, our very own CEO. Alex, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing fine. I'm very happy that we managed here with a small week delay, but really nice to have Moritz on the show. We spent quite some time discussing and working together, so it's really cool that we can have this stream today.
Awesome. So Moritz, before we dive into the news topics that we have for today, could you perhaps tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and preferably something that is not on your LinkedIn profile?
Yes. So first of all, I'm here in Hamburg, which is my hometown, Hamburg, Germany. I'm a little bit older than I have some gray hair here, and I'm trying to hide that, which is not on my LinkedIn profile. No, I'm a father of four kids, and come from a very kind of traditional background. So I've studied law, and I spent quite a significant part of my time in traditional finance, and then founded my own asset management firm about 12 years ago, which is called Nordics. And the smart thing is, so at that time we were setting up the company. That was in 2009, and we wanted to be reminded that IX stands for as a year 2009.
I've been wondering about that.
Yeah. And the more and more we are entering this new world and crypto space, we realize how how much vision we had, because every second company in this area has an X at the end, or an Q in the middle, or some or a Y in the very beginning. So using these new names was quite cool.
Yeah, absolutely. You said you have kids. Do any of them play Roblox or any play games like that? Do you know?
Actually, not really. I tried to. Well, I mean, as a father, you don't want your kids to spend their entire time in front of a screen or a phone or whatever, so you're quite happy if they are outside and play soccer or golf or whatever. And as a father saying, hey, come on, I show you something on my mobile, and you might spend the next 10 hours trying to get something out of it. So actually they're not as deep in it as they might have been. And actually I myself, I'm not so much into gaming. However, I think there is huge potential, of course. Well, a friend of mine decided very early to pay the pocket money to his kids in crypto.
Okay.
To make his kids aware of how it works. Secondly, of the volatility, and so if they need some fiat money to go to the cinema or something like that, they would exchange with their dad. So he would give him 10 euros and then say, "So please, can you pay me point something in Ether or Solana?"
Cool. Do you do that yourself?
I haven't done that. I didn't do that, but a friend of mine is doing that because he believes that this young generation really has to get into that.
That friend wouldn't be Bert Slachter from the Netherlands, would it?
Don't know.
Okay.
Let me move from. So, I mean, Nordics is doing very conservative. Is a risk averse investors, and we use derivatives and kind of complex instruments to generate some 1 or 2% returns. And then in 2013, I came across crypto, and since then I was impressed by the potential of not only Bitcoin, but of the underlying blockchain technology, which has, from my point of view, much more than just being a means of exchanging value, but the idea of decentralization. And I think we'll come to that. Is something that really has inspired me since then, and that was the idea of founding CoinIX. CoinIX is an investment firm and different from other funds.
Yeah, but before you go too deep into that, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about what kind of investments CoinIX does and how that relates to your open metaverse. But let's not dive in too deep right away. So, like I said, first we're going to go through a little bit of a news round. So we're going to have a look at the first news topic here. Satoshi Island. Oh, wait. I got the wrong one. I knew something had to go wrong. Okay, Satoshi Island. There we go. An island in the South Pacific where fiat... This is, by the way, from Cointelegraph. Where fiat is not allowed... is making waves, modular homes under construction, NFT citizenship applications, and a promise of a decentralized future. So I'm just curious, what is your take on stuff like this, Alex?
Well, I think it's primarily interesting to see that these kind of things are going into the mainstream. Obviously, we've also seen, the story about the volcano bonds from Salvador. And I think we're seeing these things happening more and more. Previously also Liberland, also, let's say in state, or at least a land restricted state with a lot of crypto involved as well. I really think that a proper bridge has to be made to, let's say, normal systems and to normal political bodies as well. Because what I do feel is that, and I think we're going to discuss the EU Parliament amendment later on, but what you're seeing there is a huge disconnect between innovative technology, entrepreneurs, and actually what's happening in the legislation. If you then really try to do these kind of projects, pushing so far ahead, I think it's interesting to have that newscast out there. But I really doubt how easy it's going to be to get this to get this done.
Yeah. What about you, Moritz? What do you think? Would you move there? Would you move there with your kids so that they don't play on their phone all day?
No, definitely not. However, I pretty much like what people have invented, have built up there, because all these new kind of setups need to have a proof of whatever. They have to have a role model, and trying to apply this, and then particularly using decentralized technology in real life applications is definitely something that will help us understand and make our experiences, and hopefully use the experience we make there to apply blockchain technology and decentralized ideas and the rest of the world.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think we'll see a lot of things like this happening at the moment, and people are experimenting. Do you know of any other projects like that that are going around that you really liked?
We recently had a project which I appreciated, which was not that much buying land, but using the metaverse to for art and for street art. There's a project in Berlin, and they realized that there are many people spraying their art on the walls, and this can not be owned, and if you want to see it, you have to travel to Berlin. And so they first of all took pictures of this art, put it into the metaverse, and made it investable as an NFT, which essentially gives the artists behind that a possibility to monetize on this project. And this is the other way around, kind of, but trying to bridge the real world with the metaverse is something which is looked upon as experimental, but which is very helpful for people to understand what it is about, and that's it's cool.
Yeah. Now, right now, crypto is of course still reasonably volatile compared to fiat money. Do you think that projects like these is it going to stabilize in the near future, or will it remain like this? Because I think that's probably something that is keeping a lot of people from getting involved with projects like this. What are your thoughts on that?
So in principle, crypto investments are volatile, as a matter of fact, and there are reasons for that. Being it's new, it's not only investors that would act in would not always act in a kind of reliable and predictable way. You have not the kind of sounding force of large investment banks that have an interest of cooling markets down. You have no rules, so if in the stock exchange prices exceed certain thresholds, then markets are closed for 10 minutes or half a day or something like that. And all these mechanics are not applicable, and therefore I think one shouldn't be surprised that there is such high volatility. And from an investor point of view, yes, of course, it's you to determine how much exposure you want to have, and if you can't stand the volatilities, then reduce your allocation. That's not a problem. And I mean, volatility means that it prices can go down, but prices can go up as well. And most people know that.
Just diamond hands hodling.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, if you look at the Sharpe ratio, which institutional investors tend to look at, because this is the risk, the kind of after taking care of the risk, the return, the risk-weighted return, and this for a longer period is much higher in crypto than in any other asset class, and that's a good reason to at least do a small allocation.
Yeah. What do you think, Alex? You got any thoughts on this one?
No, I think I mean, Moritz is much more involved in this on a day-to-day basis. I think what I'm happy with primarily is that also recently Moritz attended a digital asset convention in Frankfurt, and I briefly went there in a margin of that. And I think what you saw there is that a lot of big and institutional players from the traditional finance industry, they don't just show up there just to be, looking what's happening, and if it's, just to have a sort of a cherry pick to see what's going on. They truly believe that this is the future coming in. And of course, for these large institutions, it's going to take a while, but everybody is certain that over the next 5 to 10 years, digital ledger technology will be a force that's not going to go away anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a nice shimmy into the next news topic, because I think that has a lot to do with this one. So let's have a look at the next one. Institutional crypto funds see large capital inflows for 3 months. Yeah. So
very good.
This is this has been going on. 193 million, I think, last week. Well, what can I say? What are your? I'm not going to say anything because you guys are the experts, especially Moritz. So, do you have any thoughts on this one?
I mean, on the one hand side, 193 million sounds like a really big figure. However, if you compare it to the monthly investment needs of kind of the institutional investor world, then it's extremely tiny. Nonetheless, what I like is that more and more it's realized as an asset. And what we see in Germany, after having seen that the large institutions in the US already started to using Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as part of their treasuries, that more and more institutional investors start to realize that this is becoming a real asset class. And you have some of these smaller pension funds, and they have an biannual meeting of their investment committee. And in the past, there was always one person saying, well, maybe we should start buying Bitcoin, and all the others were laughing at them. And now
it sounds like you have personal experience with that, Moritz.
That's what I see, that they start to realize that this is not bullshit, and this is something reliable, and they can really put a small investment into it. And I do hope that this is driving the market, and of course it's quite likely to drive prices as well. And for many, Bitcoin is still kind of the initial investment, but more and more investors realize that what they should look for is a portfolio of different assets, and Bitcoin appears to be more and more realized as the dinosaur of the cryptocurrencies. E.g., it's the largest and biggest and oldest, and maybe the first one to be extincted.
So you're talking about diversifying portfolio. So I'm on that. Based on that, I'm assuming that you're not a Bitcoin purist then.
I'm not a purist. No, I do think that it's always good to have different eggs in your basket. Or not all eggs in one basket. No, different eggs in the basket.
Okay. Yeah, Alex, any thoughts?
No, I think this. I think we're all good here. I think I'm really excited about the next topic.
Okay. So by the way, I want to say that you guys can also just interrupt me if you have thoughts. So Alex, you don't have to wait like a nice schoolboy until I ask you. But the same also goes for chat, because of course it seems like a conversation between the three of us, but we have a live chat. So for those of you watching on Telegram, or you can ask your questions in the community channel. And for those of you watching on YouTube, go ahead and post your questions in chat. I already got an amazing question from Marky from Moritz, but we're going to ask that during the interview. He wants to know what kind of coffee you drink, Moritz, so you can think on that one. And so the next topic is going to be super interesting, I think, as well, because I've been listening to so many podcasts regarding this topic myself recently. Let's see. Here we go. So there's a lot to do on all the new legislation coming our way from all directions. In the Netherlands, of course, the funny thing is in the Netherlands, we're really looking forward to getting some more clarity regarding legislation when it comes to crypto in general, because the lack of legislation is a serious issue. And yet at the same time, you see that on a European level in this case, and even on a global level in some ways, but specifically right now in the EU, there's of course a lot of legislation coming our way that we might not be so happy with. And one of the examples is the privacy busting crypto rules, as Cointelegraph described it. That basically is clamping down on unregulated, or how do I say this correctly? It's supposed to be against anti-money laundering, but it's clamping down on transactions with self-hosted wallets, of course, which personally I don't think I would be very happy about that. But again, luckily today we got an expert on this. So Moritz, I heard that you've been doing some excellent work for the community. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, so simultaneously to my role with CoinIX, I'm sitting on the board of the Hanseatic Blockchain Institute, and secondly of the Bundesblock, which is the German Verband for the blockchain industry. And we have seen that we've been trying to get an impact on that. And what we like and embrace is that the European Union is trying to set up a regulatory framework, because institutional adaptation of all of this will not be possible if there is not a clear regulation on that. And all this is a good tendency we should support. And of course, it's important that we have means that crypto is not used for money laundering purposes, and that taxation and even supervision of taxable events is somehow possible. However, I feel that many members of the European Parliament either don't have a clear understanding and a clear vision of what blockchain has a potential, and maybe secondly, they have been a little bit impacted by the traditional banking and asset management industry, because they have everything in place. So each and every client opening an account, buying a security, has a full KYC, and there's a system. And if now a bank would offer you, we can set up an account for you where you can store your Bitcoin and Ether and Solana and even some tiny NFT or whatever things, then they are fully fledged. They have a competitive advantage. And these new rules appear to play a little bit to the favor of the existing traditional industry, simultaneously putting huge hurdles for everyone who's setting up some crypto-based business, which is based on smart contracts, and we believe that the rules that are now proposed, so it's not final yet, and we do hope that we can change something, which essentially say if you want to send whatever crypto asset, so it's not about a minimum amount of 10,000 euro, what we see if talking about cash. So if you just want to transfer 0. Whatever to do test transaction, you would be required to provide data of the sender and of the recipient, and this data will not be encrypted. It will or it needs to go with the transaction, and it needs to be stored.
Which is often even technically impossible, but yeah.
It's technically impossible. It needs to be confirmed, which is technically impossible.
Yeah.
And I mean, the entire idea of crypto assets being partly anonymous, being synonymous, being able to be identified, but the owner being the one to determine whom he wants to share the information with, is entirely neglected if you say each and every transaction needs to have a copy of the passport, and the passport will be stored in a non-encrypted environment with some provider, even with the recipient's providers as a provider, and that doesn't make sense.
Perhaps what I'm interested in Moritz, because you wrote a vision article that you proposed to all the EP members. Most of the time, unfortunately, I think the way that people are voting, the people already made up their mind. One of the main reasons that we keep hearing back is with regard to anti-money laundering, but also the sanctions. We have people, U.S. senators, Elizabeth Warren saying the Russian people on the Russian sanction list, they can actually, freely move around money. But I think even think tanks in the United States pointed out that it's not possible to transfer billions of rubles, euros, dollars, whatever. The whole system isn't really catered to have statewide or state actor type of funds being pushed through the system. How do you look at it from that perspective?
I think in many cases there is a misconception and there is a fear of every criminal using crypto. And however, I think trying to solve this on a local basis, so in these new rules, there are even some paragraphs saying each transaction that leaves the European Union and goes to an unhosted wallet outside the Union, and you say, so how can I determine? And there's no way to figure out if this wallet address is within or... So these are stupid rules. And on the one hand side, I think it's important that the industry really takes the responsibility and develops some kind of self-regulation measures, which is already in place. I mean, there are many exchanges that are actively cooperating with law enforcement if there's something possibly wrong, even though they have no legal obligation to do so. Many of these exchanges where you really don't know where their physical seat is react, if you work properly with them, to law enforcement requests, because they have an interest to be seen as the white sheep in this huge herd of sheets of different color.
I think
self-regulation is pretty important, and then it's relevant that you step in at the point where crypto can be transferred into fiat, or you can use it to buy chips or whatever.
So if you let's say that in an imaginary world, right, and you could go back to the EU and you could tell them, like, this is the way you should organize that. That will be most beneficial to European economies, European consumers, and European businesses. How on a high strategic level, of course, what would you recommend?
I think it would be pretty important to clearly define which kind of transactions with which kind of coins or token or entries on a blockchain should be treated as an investment or as a money replacement, and to clearly distinguish that there are many more transactions where you have different entries on a blockchain where it says no use for assuming that this could be used for tax evasion and now money laundering. Secondly, I think there might be a way of being able to have white wallets or transparent wallets that might be unhosted. So if you voluntarily say, I have a wallet and I use it to accumulate wealth, and yes, I'm willing to have it taxed in a proper way, then why not register your wallet with someone who then via APIs is able to track what you're doing on your wallet, for example. I think that would be a feasible way that avoids that each and every transaction has a copy of your passport with it. And then definitely try to find a way where the banks, where the exchanges and so on, they have to, well, either automatically generate reports, but from my point of view, it would be much easier if you find a way that they on demand provide information, because we really have to get rid with these huge data pools where for years each and every transaction has a passport attached to it.
Yeah. Alex, you wanted to ask something before.
Yeah. Well, it's. I think it's primarily. I think what I'm interested about, if you're looking at it from an advocate of the devil, looking at it from the legislator point of view,
Christine Lagarde.
there has to be a level playing field, and I think that if you're serious about building this industry, everybody, and I think that's also in Mort's previous answer, it's important that there is some form of regulation. However, I do think what we're seeing today, I mean, we can already today file our earnings in a wallet to the tax office, at least here in the Netherlands. I'm sure that that's also the case in Germany, since legislation there is a few steps ahead of us. So yeah, I'm really. At the same time, obviously, we need to push forward for this legislation, but I'm also a little bit worried about the knowledge gap. I think we're seeing that in the text that comes from EPs. So if we pretend that there's a lot of knowledge, I think we see in our day-to-day business. I mean, we're a relatively small startup. I'm sure more it's from an institutional level and a lot more KYC and a lot more regulation. You will probably see that you have so much explanation to do. And if we try to fix everything in these rules, there's also a lot of innovation, because people just go to Singapore, people go to the United States, and that's definitely something I do worry about, because we want to build this new economy here in the EU. And we don't want another time after what happened in 2000 with the internet, what happened with all the cloud computing services. Are we now actually going to push away the whole digital ledger technology sector back to the United States because we want to do it in such a way, even though the technology is not fully understood? And that's something I do worry about.
It would be a shame that after we got rid of Trump, that he would still get his wish. But I think we can talk about this for hours. I agree. We're stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. On the one hand, we want legislation. All of us want clarity. Our businesses want to move forward. Our consumers want to know how they can, make the best use of all of this. And at the same time, there's definitely a knowledge gap. Not only at the European Parliament level, but also on local governments. I mean, we can see the same thing happening here in the Netherlands with politicians screaming things on Twitter that absolutely make no sense because they simply don't really understand what they're talking about. Thanks, both of you, for your input. I think it's going to be a topic that we won't be able to solve today. So considering the time, I want to shimmy into the next topic, and that is the real interview. So before I ask you what kind of coffee you like, Moritz, you were already talking about CoinIX, the idea behind it, how you founded it, and what you guys are trying to do. I say guys, but I also know that you have a wonderful woman working there, Suzanne. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today. But perhaps can you tell us a little bit about CoinIX, the investments that you have been doing, and the recent developments.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. So initial idea of setting something up that would help me and friends and whatever to invest into crypto in, well, not only doing it privately, but setting up our vehicle. I started back in 2014, and we approached the German BaFin at that point in time, asking what they would think about it, and they made it pretty clear that we can apply for whatever we want, but that they would find ways and means to avoid that we are entering that space. Because my main company is a regulated financial services provider, and they said, so you in this space, you shouldn't do that. And then it took a while, and at that point in time, Bitcoin halved, and we said, oh, we're lucky we didn't do it, because we would need to have explained to our investors. With hindsight, we should have done it, but yeah, it's volatile. And then in 2017, we felt, now let's really do that. Timing-wise, it was not ideal, and we decided not to set up a fund because there are certain restrictions which are not ideal for the crypto world. So first of all, setting up a fund in Germany with BaFin takes at least half, more likely a year, for all this documentation part of it. It costs money, which was not the kind of the most relevant point. However, you have to have a clear investment strategy from the very beginning. And our feeling in 2018 was that this area is so new that it's pretty hard to clearly define what exactly we want to invest in. And that's something we figured out because we started buying coins like Solana and Polygon and Celo and whatever. And then we realized that there are some startups doing cool blockchain projects that would need fiat money, and we started investing and providing them equity against equity. And then we realized that there are more and more projects out there that do not finance themselves by getting money against equity, but by providing early token. And this is something which currently is, from my point of view, not possible in a fledged or a regulated fund, because these SAFTs that you usually sign, people should be aware of that, is not yet listed in the list of eligible financial instruments.
Okay.
So the second thing was we didn't want to have a strategy. Third thing is each and every fund has some way of investors getting their money back, which under certain conditions can be quite bad, because if the market goes down and then simultaneously your investors starting to say, I would like to get my money back, pushes you into fire sale. And there was the third reason to say, let's up a proper share, no, Aktiengesellschaft, where people know that they give us the money for the rest of their lives, and if they want to get out of it, they can try to sell their shares to someone else, ideally at a higher price, but we are not the ones that will be pushed into a fire sale. And that was ultimately the setup, and we started 2017. Until now, we have invested about 5 to 6 million euro. The total portfolio is about 25 million euros, so we have been able to kind of have a five-fold investment.
It's a nice return on investment.
I think it's okay, and I mean we have a diversified portfolio. So we like if crypto is going up. However, only 30%, 40% of our portfolio is liquid coins, and the rest is valued at acquisition cost. So that gives some smoothing effect on that.
You recently did a capital raise, Moritz. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Actually, we tried to do a capital increase, and then you may have heard happens this war in the Ukraine, which made the capital market and the crypto markets a little bit risk averse. And because for our capital increase, we look for new shareholders. These are traditional investors that buy shares, and this segment was very much impacted for good reason, and we felt that this is not the right point in time where everybody is trying to reduce his high risk assets to say, could you please give us some new money for risky assets?
Yeah.
So we cancelled that. We are intending to do it hopefully later this year. Nonetheless, the good thing about our portfolio is different to traditional VC investors that would get in 15 million, then they invest it, and then they wait for 7-8 years until they get a return from the first exits. We always have a proportion of the portfolio in liquid coins, and we can just reallocate and just last year.
That brings me to my next question, because
yes,
you
please.
just mentioned that, of course, the situation has changed around the world. The Ukraine war has had a global impact. It's a chaotic time in which standard market rules, regulations, and laws, don't really seem to apply. Normally technical analysis can be a great thing, especially for crypto. But right now, all of that is out of the window. And yet, in this time of volatility, you guys decided to invest in a little project known as your Open Metaverse. So what made you decide to do that crazy thing?
In the beginning, we just felt like everything with blockchain is cool, and then we more and more realized that we need to focus on certain trends. And there are 4 or 5 trends, one being that we will have projects that will just do cost reduction and transparency in traditional industries without disrupting them. And these are the projects that we believe will be the ones that have the earliest realization dates, and that's something we want to have in our portfolio. And then we have other projects which have a much more disruptive character, because they say we'll entirely rule out the intermediary, and we will completely define new characteristics for an industry. And we have a bunch of projects in this segment as well. We have someone who wants to replace Google, and there's someone else trying to replace other large players by saying the future will be decentralized. And we believe in that. However, this is something where I think that's going to take 5 to 7 years.
Over the you mentioned your gray hairs at the start of the episode. I have a few as well, not as many as you. You've seen basically 2 tech bubbles. Well, not bubbles, but booms. End of the 90s, 2000s. You got a lot of experience. You've seen it happen. Are you seeing this happening again right now, or what are your thoughts on that? And has that anything to do with your decision to invest in your Open Metaverse?
Actually, I have to admit, back in 1998, I do remember that a friend of mine invested in Amazon shares, and I hadn't heard about it. And I asked him, so what are they doing? And he said, well, they're intending to set up an online bookstore. And I said, okay, I can't imagine that's going to happen. I wish you good luck, and I didn't invest it. I mean, there was a mistake with hindsight. However, I could at that point in time not imagine that what a bookstore was for me. You walk in and you touch the books and you decide, I want to take this and that and take a look into it, that this would ever work and happen online. And I think I've learned from that. And being in a role like us, and having new startups, entrepreneurs every second day in a presentation and learning what they do. And yes, sometimes these are pretty crazy ideas. And I have learned from the past experience that I should not, by first sight, say, I can't imagine that this is going to happen, but to really understand the potential.
Do you hear this, Alex? He's basically saying that when you came around, he thought you were a crazy nutter.
But I think for us it was a strategic decision. I'm not sure if all the viewers are actually aware. We did our private round in last November, that we prepared obviously for quite some time, and we had the possibility to close the round at that time. But we were quite fortunate with good advisors that told us, okay, you need to carve out a number of allocations because you would like to also have the more traditional investors to also have an opportunity to step in. Because in the crypto VC world, and that's also what we saw, particularly last November, you can have a chat. A week later, you finalize stuff, and a few days later, there is money on the wallet.
Never ceases to amaze me.
And that's obviously not the case in the engagement that we had with CoinIX. There is the analyst team, going into quite a lot of details, discussing, asking, okay, how's the market going to look like? How's the revenue models? How everything's going to look like? And that's definitely not what we, that you experience in the more traditional VC investors. So for us, it's also quite important to have that, that vision, that look, and that experience that also, makes us grow as a team to touch up on a number of points in our pitch, but also in the product as well.
Yeah, I think that definitely was noticeable internally, and for us at least. For Moritz, this might be nice to know that. With a lot of the previous investors, things went really quickly. They decided they believed. We were a little bit green, 6 months ago we were so green. Let's face it. I mean, now I have scars and pock marks everywhere. We were green, and people just wanted to give us their money, crypto money. It went really quick, and then suddenly we met CVC and CoinIX, and suddenly these people were asking real serious questions, really checking stuff seriously out. Making us spend a lot of serious brain power internally, but if I can speak personally, I thought that was great because it really made us reassess everything, look at what we're trying to do, and measuring that to higher standards, allowing us to do a better job moving forward, which also obviously led to us postponing our TGE, which was a very scary thing for us to do, but I definitely think it's the right thing. So Moritz, you looking at the portfolio for CoinIX, you guys, and you already mentioned that a little bit, you're definitely looking at infrastructure. You just mentioned Google, you mentioned Amazon. So was there anything particular when you looked at our case that made you say, apart from us being crazy, of course, for this might be definitely an interesting move for us?
I mentioned the other trends we see, and we strongly believe that that metaverse is something that will stay for longer. However, I personally have and the combination of NFT and metaverse is a very, very valid proposition. However, I personally have no clue what exactly will be the turning element of metaverse becoming mainstream, because yet it's not. And let me say, my understanding is that initially when the internet started, and internet was about transfer of information and pictures, people claim that it was porn because people wanted to have access to naked people of different gender. And this was accessible over your computer.
You did that really well, Moritz. I have no idea how you managed to put that so diplomatically, but I love it. Sorry, go on.
I mean, I don't know if that's true. And the question is, so what's going to be the reason why people start entering the metaverse, knowing that sometimes it's really not working very well and it's pixeled and so on, and there will be applications, and instead of investing into a single application, we believe it's much more forward-looking to have someone who's trying to ease the way towards it. And there are so many companies that start considering to set up a presence in the metaverse. And I always like the Sotheby's. I don't know, that was my kind of. Since I'm thinking about blockchain and crypto, every second week I have a second where another coin is just clicking, because I now realize new aspects. And initially I said, so why is Sotheby's that is seen as the most traditional physical art auctioneer, trying to attract elderly art buyers? are they the ones to set up an auction or a place or a gallery in the metaverse where they're selling NFTs? That was
I think, yeah,
kind of
I think I was
move.
really impressed with that. It's exactly like you say. Sotheby's, I mean, probably would have been the last company I would think of doing that. And yet,
Okay.
when we look at history, I mean, usually the companies that are established are not the ones that survive big convergence of technology and paradigm shifts, as at least that's what I expect like this, except the ones that see it coming and are willing to take a risk, right? I mean, this is something that Alex can also talk about when we look at the companies and the brands that we're looking to work with. And I guess also goes for investors, right?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, I think I have a comforting message for the opposite sex, saying that our wonderful Aragorn is going to become part of the metaverse with his own avatar. So for all those single ladies, keep on watching at the next episode.
What about all those single men out there? You know, there's plenty of LGBTQ people out there.
Exactly.
I hope they think I'm sexy too, to be honest. But
Exactly. So no, I think there's going to be a lot of potential, and I think there is the bandwidth and the spectrum of the possibilities. I think we're trying to figure out for this year 5 key projects that is taking place in a number of important metrics. So from more traditional industries to, let's say, sports, media, and entertainment. But also we're quite heavily focused on retail. So we're working on a lot of retail formulas right now that we truly believe in, because in all these aspects, what we believe here with our team that we're working on is that there has to be a bridge between the real world, the world that we experience every day, and what's happening in the metaverse. Because if it's only going to be NFTs, pictures, whatever, then we don't believe that's going to fly. There has to be an actual utility, and the road into the metaverse is one that's going to take a number of years. So I think sometimes you hear these stories of people saying that in a heartbeat everything is going to change. Well, that's not going to happen, but it's going to be a gradual
We'll
process.
agree to disagree, Alex, but that's okay. We do that all the time.
Yeah.
So we have some questions from chat. So let's dive into those, because time is wasting, I just noticed. So first of all, there was Copywriter who said mass adoption has to happen soon. So first of all, Copywriter, I'd like to ask you, when you say mass adoption has to happen soon, what do you exactly mean, and how soon is soon? And while you answer that in chat, I'd like to pose this question to Moritz. What are your thoughts on adoption of metaverse technologies, NFTs, virtual reality, people going to worlds like Decentraland and Sandbox? Do you have a timeline in mind for that?
I think that will be 3 to 5 to 7 years, something in that range. We are very early, even though the prices in Decentraland are already perceived extremely high, and we have been thinking about setting up a virtual real estate fund, which so I like the term. However, it's real. So I personally haven't invested in any NFTs. So far, others from the team have. So I'm a little bit more conservative, but I believe it's going to become mainstream in 5 to 7 years. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex, go on.
I completely agree. I think that there is we usually talk about 3 target groups when we also look at our communication. There's the general population, the general audience, who perhaps sometimes hears a little bit about the metaverse only when Mark Zuckerberg and his PR team comes out. Then there is, I think, you guys, in the crypto scene, retail investing in crypto, into gaming. I think you guys are the professionals that really understand it day to day. And then there is the perhaps more people people that are running it as their day job. So I mean, brand managers at Unilever, or let's say people working at sports shoe apparel manufacturers. Those guys are working at it from a brand level as well, and I think from the brand level and in the crypto and the game scene, yes, people are perhaps even on a daily basis encounter this term. But the general population, I think it really, if they hear something about this every 3 to 4 months, that's it. So it will really take a lot of time before it will really be a true part of technology. I mean, Google is technology that everybody uses a lot. That you're giving a lot of data to, and I think we're still quite far from technologies being on that level.
Okay. Copywriter is in chat, and he says he believes Metaverse can become a household name, hopefully in the next 13 years. I'm going to be honest. I feel I work in an innovative company at the very forefront of technological development and convergence, and yet I find myself again to be the black sheep here, because I really believe it's going to go way faster. But and I also believe that yes, Metaverse connected with the physical world through augmented reality and other kind of activations, it's definitely going to be massive. But I also really believe that that is not a necessary aspect of it. But then again, I'm probably the only computer nerd in this group who has spent a significant over 10,000 hours of his lifetime playing virtual games, exploring virtual worlds. So I might be slightly biased. Cool. Right, so looking at the time, it's 2 minutes to 5, and there's still some things to do. So, chat, this is your last chance, both Telegram and YouTube, to ask some questions of Moritz. Moritz, let's get round to that initial question that was asked. And by the way, thank you for all your amazing insights. But what kind of coffee do you prefer?
I actually 5 years ago decided to get out of coffee, and I'm drinking 2 bottles of what's the ingwer in English? So it's just tea with 1 bag of ginkgo.
Can you show us that bottle again, Moritz? Because that's not a bottle. That's like a jerry can.
It's a liter, yeah.
You drink 2 of those in a day?
I was told that it's pretty healthy, two of them, yeah. Everybody should drink at least 2 liters of either water or tea a day, yeah.
It's true.
And I did so with coffee, and that's at some point in time not ideal.
No, yeah, it's very healthy. So, okay, one more question. Cats or dogs?
Dog.
Because?
Because I tried to refrain from having a dog, and then my 4th kid managed to persuade me to buy a dog, and our dog is called Wilma, and I love her. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much for that. So, is there any recommendation that you have for our audience, whether it be about crypto, the metaverse, reading books, anything that you'd like to share that you think is really worthwhile?
I think it's important that everybody shares the idea and the concept of crypto value transfers with his family, her family, and I strongly recommend set up a wallet with a bunch of friends, try to get into it, take a 20 euro or whatever investment, and then shuffle around with this crypto. And I still meet friends with whom I did it years ago. They say, "Hey Moritz, I still have the wallet you helped me set up," and that's pretty important. And they need to understand that the password they put in there is unique, and there's no telephone number to call if you have lost it. And so this is real learning, and that's something I recommend.
Thank you so much for that, Moritz.
Thanks, Moritz.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Thank you so much, both for your confidence in our undertaking, your support, and your willingness to come on the show today, answer questions, and share with us your incredible insight into the regulations, finance, investing, everything to do with crypto and with these projects. Alex?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here as well.
Of course.
Anything you want to say to Moritz?
Well, thanks, of course, and then we are looking forward to hopefully with a few of our team members get to meet the team also in Germany as well. So look forward to that and look forward to working together. So thanks and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks a lot. It was great pleasure being here.
Thank you. See you soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cool. So that wraps up the interview part of today's live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We, of course, aren't done yet. I have 2 more minutes that have to do with sharing the look forward for the next week. Sorry, I was a little bit confused. People are asking to join our call now when it's done. So first off, what's up this week? Let's see, is there anything I forgot? A State of Yom roadmap visual unveil. Oh, I thought we already did this. Perhaps this is... I'll just say it again. I think this is something that's left over from last week. But for those of you that haven't noticed, we've done a little update on our website. So we have updated the website to include a roadmap where you can track well, it's not real time, which hopefully it will be in the future. But we're tracking our progress towards the token generation event and the IDO. Basically, there's four categories in there, and we have this defined key performance indicators for those. And whenever we meet any goals, we mark that. And every 2 weeks, it's being updated. So we don't have a traditional roadmap that says we're going to do this in Q1, we're going to do this in Q2, and do this in Q3, because we believe in doing stuff right. Of course, we are aware that, this whole metaverse blockchain development, if we want to be the first and we want to be the best, we can't take 10 years to do it. But at the same time, we also want to find the right balance between doing things right, having our development team go ham on building the best SDK platform they can, having our agency team build some of the really cool first experiences, and of course, building our own organization as we grow. So we said we're going to have a roadmap where people can track what we're doing. We have important KPIs, and we do things when they're done, and then we move on. So I hope you guys like that. Give us your feedback on that and your thoughts. Let's see what else. We've also added the State of the Metaverse show to the website. So going forward, you can always, if you don't have time to come to the live episode on Friday, you can go to our website and you can check it out there. You will be able to see the video there. We're also uploading the State of the Metaverse to Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon Podcast, I think, or something. Anyway, every podcast platform in the world has our State of the Metaverse going forward. We are always looking for interesting guests. So today we had Moritz, of course, and we had Alex, because Moritz invested in Europa, or CoinIX invested in Europa Metaverse, and we wanted to have somebody that could tell you about the legislative stuff going on in the EU. But we don't just want to have people that are directly related to us. We want to have people that are thought leaders in the industry, talking about the metaverse, talking about crypto going forward. So if you know somebody, or if you want to get on the show yourself, make sure to let us know. What else? This week we have another Metaverse Exploring event with our Metaverse Exploring group, which is, of course, led by the wonderful Mr. Fox, aka Daniel van der Waals, our very own Metaverse Sherpa. And this week, there will be a speaker called Simon Mikhailovic. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I probably butchered his name. From Maison Dao. So it should be very interesting. He's going to talk about a decentralized metaverse gallery. So that kind of ties into the art topic that we already discussed a little bit today. What else? Oh, I nearly missed it. Super important, this one, guys. We are finally... Wait, I should do a sound for this. Do I have something? Oh, that's the wrong sound! Rick rolled. Okay, I do have an important announcement. Our team finished our white paper. And the white paper is being published. I think it was already published today. It's really, really looking good. I'm going to say it's always a work on the construction. So we're probably going to improve it, going to change it, going to update it. But if you haven't read our white paper yet, I highly recommend you go read it. Not only is it filled with incredible references to Star Trek, it's also a highly, highly inspirational document. if you're thinking about the metaverse, if you're thinking about the future of the metaverse, the future of NFTs, all of that good stuff, and the kind of thing that we're trying to build. So go and check out our white paper. It will be on our website. Download it, have fun with it, read it, sleep on it, and let us know what you think. I think that's it. Did I miss anything? I don't think I missed anything. I don't have a nice outro music yet, but little good news. We're working with audio engineers, so soon we'll have that too. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining us again. I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Oh no! Oh wait, are we doing a broadcast next week? We're going on a little school trip with the whole team. I don't know. I'm confused. Can somebody confirm in chat? Do we have a broadcast next week? Alex, can you put your thumbs up if we do? And your thumbs down if we don't? We do have a broadcast next week. It's just probably going to be from somewhere in another country or from the metaverse or something. Don't know yet. Okay, that's it. Thanks, guys. See you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Have a lot of beers because I can't. That's it. Bye.